into teach, when you go out to the school, what do you do when if you're a business student, how do you then write your report, how do you address in those situations, what do you do? So we have those sorts of things, but it doesn't necessarily then increase fluency. So each solution comes with a different set of questions. Each solution raises different questions. The solution, of course, is a combination, right? And solution, of course, lies in the fact that we do not, one of the things we do not necessarily do is teach them how to revise texts. I will come back to that again. So the story is that I then decided to sign up for, a group of us decided to sign up for this creative writing workshops, and it's conducted by the National Writing Project in US. If you look it up, writing teachers attend these workshops, and we sit through, and I attended as a teacher, right? Not as an expert, I just wanted to go through the whole process and understand what is it that teachers and writers go through. So I attended this course, and immediately they take you out of your comfort zone because you are so accustomed to writing research papers. If someone now tells me, Ashwini now tells me, I want a paper from you, what's my first question? How many words? How many pages? Do you want it with empirical research, or do you want, you want a lit review, you want a state of art? My mind is already thinking ahead, my mind is already thinking of how long the paper is. Exactly, there is a format, and each and every one of my colleagues here will tell you, we all have this format in our head on what we want, what we should need to write. So take me out of my comfort zone. That was my challenge to myself. Why? Because the students in my classroom are not in their comfort zone necessarily. They in fact don't know how to write the papers that we want them to do. So that really is the story. So we went for this group, this National Writing Project, and these are some of the activities that, we did lots of things to get us writing, but these were some of the activities that I picked up when I thought, this is what I need to focus on when I talk about revision of text. Okay? The first activity, I wish I had the time to do a workshop for you guys. If I had 2 hours, that's what I would love to do on all the different activities. Let me just focus on revision for this matter. So the first thing we did was we made a list. Okay, so we were told by a colleague, okay, make a list of things that no one knows about you. And the first thing you do is you ask, is anyone going to read this list? No. Just make a list. Because writing, the whole theory of writing comes from within, right? You have to understand, if you've noticed, things that you are very familiar with, things that make sense to you, things that that you have some sort of affinity to, you write very easily and readily. There are some topics I can't wait to get started on writing on. There are some topics I drag my feet on, right? And I write it because I have to write it, but it's not something I'm passionate about. So, first lesson, creative writing classroom, they said, make a list, 5 things that nobody knows about you. Later on, I'll show you what I did. I'm just going to go through the activities first without the clutter of my thoughts. The next activity was something called nutshelling. Now, it's not even a word. When I was typing it out, it was not even a single word, right? So, what you do is you write the list of you make a list, and then you write a short text for 15 minutes. It's free writing, the timing is controlled, and you write just for 15 minutes and you stop. And then you read the piece and you capture one sentence that captures the soul of your writing, the heart of your writing. And then you take 2 sentences and delete them. Now, deleting is an art, I have learned. When my papers come back from the journal, from the editor, and they say, we need you to write 5,000 words a day. Every day journal articles are getting shorter and shorter. And I go, how could I do that? I have 7,500 words. Every word is important. Every single word is carefully thought out. How dare this editor tell me to revise it? Of course I sit and I revise it. The truth of the matter is I want to get published and I revise it. But deleting is an art. Okay, but that is a topic for another day. So you delete 2 sentences that's not relevant to the soul of the story. Then you read it aloud. Reading aloud is another thing that is a huge part of revision, which makes you conscious of what you've written, which helps you, in fact. So you read it aloud. You circle a few words that you want to elaborate on, that has the soul of the text. Okay? Because nutshelling is the heart of the text. Then you craft out a phrase. One phrase from, pull out one phrase that has the soul of the text, and you put it on a mahjong paper. This is what my students did. That wasn't my text, it was one of my students wrote, "I loved her like a sister, but I couldn't say the same about her." The minute you read a text like that, you have a million questions, don't you? Right? The far more exciting ones, I think they were just meant to get me huffing and puffing, but the far more exciting, but I chose one of the tame ones. So they told them to put their sentence up on a mahjong paper, and this is what they did, one of the questions. And then the rest of the class, what we did was that in groups of 4, you went around the room. After a while, the groups disbanded, right? Because they got so excited about one text or the other text. And any question that comes to your mind, you just put it on. You ask that question and you put it on a post-it and you just paste it on. And you move around the room. So these are my students hard at work, walking around or sitting down, looking at different texts and putting up post-its. The next step of revision is nutshelling 2B, where you get the feedback. You look at it and then you go, okay, these are the questions that they've asked me, right? About the soul of my text. These are the corrections, or not corrections. These are the things I want to take into account. These are the things I don't. So then you organize it according to themes. Activity 4. They work in pairs. They love this. I put them in different pairs. People who don't sit next to each other, people who are clearly not talking to one another, right? Just for the fun sake of it, I get them to read it out. So you read out your text. You let the other person speak. Tell me what you've heard, right? You let them just speak. You do not interrupt them. You can affirm and you can say, yes, that's what I'm saying, that's not what I'm saying, but you do not elaborate. If your text wasn't able to convey what you wanted to say, then you've not said it eloquently enough. There are gaps in your writing, right? Final part of teacher conferencing. This is when they either face me or their students face them, or you get a facilitator to work with you. Then the teacher looks for things in the text. Again, I tell them, do not look at just the grammar. In fact, do not look at the grammar. It's something an editor can help us, in fact, edit and fix rather readily. Look at what is the focal point, what stands out to you in this text. Point out what is most memorable. Ask for elaboration and clarification. So these are some pictures from my classroom where they were doing the various activities. I thought I'll share that with you. Okay, that wasn't me in the classroom, by the way. That's me trying it out with my students. These photographs. Okay, now some reactions from my writers. I wanted to see whether it worked as well for them as it did for me. So one of them said, I've hardly practiced looking at my writing from other people's perspectives, and I realized how getting feedback, which I feared with great determination, is worth more than a brick I might get on my self-esteem. So students were worried about, getting criticized, but they thought it worked. And they also found that the deleting is an art. I mean, I keep saying that in the classroom, it's become like a mantra for them. Deleting is an art. So instead of rambling on, you look for things that will not help your text, right? So that's something that the second student pointed out. Now, my journey as a writer, and I've never shared this anywhere else. It's the first platform I'm sharing this, right? So this is data from, this is what I did when I went through all these steps. So this is actual examples for you. I was told to write listing, right? I looked at it and I go, I don't want to reveal what, if nobody knows this about me, it's not on my Facebook, and I literally live my life on Facebook, I'm not going to tell you. So I wrote safe things. I love to write, I love to read. Then I thought, and then of course, my peers seated next to me burst out laughing, and then I went, okay, never mind. Everybody had that, so I said, okay, I love to rehearse my lesson, I rehearse everything, right? I clean up my study, I love going for long walks. It's good. And then the last thing was, it is really daunting to have a successful mother for a writer. My mom's a writer. And the next thing was, pick one thing from the list and write a story. Write something that you think people will be interested in. I presume nobody was really keen on hearing about my long hikes, right? As exciting as it was, and I wasn't interested in writing about things I saw on as well. Cleaning up my study, nobody really is interested. Rehearsing my lessons, I could imagine it just sounding very, very much frightening if I were to list that out. And the one thing I didn't want to write about was my mom. And so writing comes from within this, and it reminded me, that moment reminded me of something Arundhati Roy, one of my favorite authors, has said in an interview. She said, everyone has one novel in them. You write that one novel, and the second one is maybe a pure work of fiction. So yes, okay. I chose this, of course. Then what now? I had 15 minutes, so I was going to show you my first draft. Remember, it's a draft, okay, my first draft. So this is what I wrote. I think it's a little tiny, so I'm going to read it out to you. As the dal, can you hear me? Sorry. Can you hear me? Okay. As the dal burns in the stove, she writes in the kitchen. Sometimes bend over her notes while standing. You see, there are no chairs in her kitchen. It doesn't occur to her to have any in the room, that she doesn't plan on spending much time in. The kitchen was always in a mess. She hates tidying up. With the television blaring away in the background, she writes in the living room. The noise never bothers her, nor do we as we run around instead of doing our homework. We are careful not to step on or move her notes about from the living room. There are notes and books everywhere, half-written notes and drafts, books that lay open invitingly. We didn't dare look at them. Paper chaos takes over the living room every time she starts on a new project. It leaves the room in a creative mess. We are careful not to choke on the burnt dal and chew on the vegetables slowly. The dry rice lacks water as always. Mummy is busy with her, sorry, this probably comes in a much calmer tone from my dad. Mummy is busy with her novel now. She will clean up after that and make us a special vegetarian nasi lemak. Just you watch, says my daddy with a broad, hopeful smile. His voice was booming with pride over his prolific wife. We say nothing at all. The burnt dal lingers in the air. Now, it was written in 15 minutes. I know in terms of cohesion, in terms of expansion, in terms of all that is missing. It's 15 minutes, remember? And as a writing teacher, I'm so conscious of making sure my ending fits back to my introduction, and it's very consciously written as well. And that's a picture of nasi lemak for those of you who want to know. You can look it up. It's a Malaysian traditional food. It's basically rice, coconut rice with all the different things that my mom's famous for, because my mom's vegetarian, famous for making that. First draft, everything I know, everything I've observed, some description, some use of narrative that I would want to make it interesting, done. Then came nutshelling. I was told, nutshelling, what did I say? You have to pick one line, right? That is the soul of the text. So I looked and I thought, okay, his voice was booming with pride. But it just didn't work because I had that already. If someone would ask me, what's the soul of the text? My mom. Yes, but then what is it about her that you've described that stands out in your text? I couldn't get a sentence. Do I want to expand on his voice as booming with pride? No, not really. He's not my focus. So I had to add another line. So I added a line. She leaves a mess wherever she goes. Half-written notes, post-its in Tamil and English, and random cuttings from pages that she has read. I thought, okay, I got my line. Then I turned to my peers, my tribe, we were working in tribe, and these were the sentences that they had. What was left was right. She had betrayed me, but it turned out to be a blessing in disguise. That sounded far more exciting than my sentence, because it was far more concise, it was far more elusive. So then, I changed it. So this little picture that you see, this was actually my margin paper before everyone had notes on it. So I said, she leaves a mess wherever she is. Now, in nutshelling stage, we also tell writers to delete what's not relevant. Look for a couple of sentences, and we force them to delete sentences. Anything that your text can do without, you delete it. So I deleted the sentence on the kitchen was always in a mess. I deleted the sentence of it leaves home in a creative mess. It was clearly I was picking on the imagery of mess, and I'd already put it into the sentence that I wanted to, and expanded on that. And then you also asked to identify 3 or 4 things that you want to expand on, and I did that. The noise, the notes, half-written notes. And that's what I expanded on later on. I got the feedback, okay? So I left it there, I went around and looked at other people's work, I came back, got the feedback, I sat down and I organized it, and this was what I had. These were like 5 different things. For example, I'll tell you the irrelevant ones. I also had a couple of questions that were completely irrelevant. Feedback was completely irrelevant. For example, is the mess literal? No, it wasn't. But I could answer that in a moment. Could it be your pet who's messing up your life? I can't imagine my mom being a pet and she would kill me if she heard that sentence. So I thought, absolutely not, right? But the other questions that everyone posed to me, for example, what does the mess mean to you? Was the mess only for you? Why do you see it as a mess? For example, right, under mess, under she, what is your relationship with the she in the sentence? Who is, the she came up quite often. Is she a very important person in your life? The situation, how did the mess affect her life? How did mess affect you? So there were questions for each of the situations, each different components that I had organized and given these questions to, and all these questions, the questions from my peers, these were the questions that got me to relook at the text again. Sorry. Now, I had smugly thought, I just need one perspective. I'm going to write a story. I was just in that workshop to try something different, to take me out of my comfort zone, to feel like the students would feel, because I needed to try out a text that I wasn't familiar with, that I wasn't confident with. And therefore, I had very clear ideas of, I'm only going to write it in one perspective and I'll be done writing after it. After it was clear that that's not what the reader wanted. The reader wanted to hear 2, 3 perspectives. So then I decided, and the question that struck me most was, how has this affected you? I thought, oh, okay, then I do have it to another lens. Now, it's a little long. I'll just summarize what I've done here. What I did was, I went beyond the text, and then I started talking about what I did as an adult. I added that as part of the narrative. I talked about setting up a home, the color scheme, being extremely orderly, and then working with my son to make sure that he was extremely orderly as well. And I put in an incident about throwing out his creative work because he had left a bit of mess in the house. The next step came. So I thought, okay, I've extended it, I've given it 2, 3 lenses, it's richer now, I'm done. Say it back. This is when you read your text up to the other person, the person reads, and the person tells you what's in your text. My pair, Susan, was really good. She said, oh, I see the relationship between the mother and daughter, and I see that the mother writes, and I see the impact, I see that the mess is a metaphorical mess. Then she went, why is the child so silent? What's going through the child's mind? So I put in a dialogue. It's not that I don't know how to use a dialogue, but it didn't occur to me that a dialogue will enhance the reader's reading, the reader's understanding of the text. So I put in a dialogue. And how, the boy says, after I've thrown away all his notes, his drama notes actually, but I've been working on this all this time, Mama. I'm going to send it off for the drama competition tomorrow morning. Mr. Peter said he loved my draft. I even wrote the lines in different characters and different colors for the cast. Now, if you read the story, I'll share the link with you later. You will see that I was trying to make a link, and I saw this right in front of me because my mom would write things in different colors. It really depended on what was available. And my child would actually carefully craft out, write different lines, the different characters in different colors because he writes plays. And I was in the middle. I was trying to keep everything orderly. Now, I'm done. Okay. Final stage came, teacher conferencing. this is the last stage where the teacher the facilitator actually had a look at the text. And they look for the soul of the text. The facilitator comes in and says, this makes sense, this is what is most important. And the facilitator said, why do you keep talking about nasi lemak? Why do you bring the food up but you don't expand on it? What is the importance of the mom? Now you've gone completely off tangent and you started talking about different perspectives and you've not brought it back, right? Rewrote the text, finally, and I submitted it. Waited anxiously. Next morning, the facilitator came up to me and said, I'm so sorry, I didn't know your mother had passed away. I could not sleep after reading your text. Honestly, my mother had not, and my mother is well and alive, but this was the point where I realized I couldn't keep to the truth anymore. The biggest challenge we've always got when we start off is, because writing comes from within, things that makes most sense to you is the one that you can write the best of, right? How do you cross over that bridge of what makes sense to you, what you want to write about, and what you have to write about? The crossing over the bridge, that moment, right? That moment was when I realized I couldn't stick to the facts anymore. I started adding, in an Indian expression, I started adding masala to the text, and I thought, oh, if you kill off someone, it actually sounds interesting, and I did. Right? I thought, oh, okay, yes, I'll kill off masala, will make even more sense now. And the reader then was, thought that was the important part. Now, if you want to read the full text, which I didn't think I could read out to you, it's on the Academic EDU page. The title is Chaos and Order. If you go onto my page, it's all my papers are readily available. This is under the creative writing section. Now, my summation. Essentially, what are the pedagogical implications? I focused on the role of revision. The role of revision is essential in all classrooms, all writing classrooms. It's one that we don't give enough attention to in terms of scaffolding it explicitly. We are very good at looking at text and reproducing text because that's what we have done in response to process writing. Because process writing is a very long, it's a long approach, time-consuming approach, right? So we've gone for a long time, we've looked at primarily reproducing text and looking at text and making sure it's accurate. However, we don't internalize it. And when we don't internalize it, because writing comes from within, which is very well established, we then face a challenge of getting our students through that stage. So how do we cross over this? Scaffold it. For a teacher's perspective, let's scaffold the revision process. It can be done. There are lots of books available, lots of techniques available. It can be done. Can it be done in the classroom? Certainly can be done. For students, I see lots of students seated here. What can you do to make sure you cross over that bridge? Ensure that you get a lot of feedback on your writing from your peers itself. I don't think your teachers will be able to give you so much feedback on every single draft. But remember, a single draft is never a final product, right? And students can be taught how to revise their work. Thank you, guys.
Dr. Pillai for the wonderful lecture. So, does anybody have any questions to ask or comments? Okay, so thank you, ma'am. So with this, we end the session. Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. So I hope you all enjoyed the session. It was highly informative one. Okay, now one announcement I would like to make, that we are awarding the best papers of every session as well as the poster session and the overall paper award tomorrow during the valedictory session. However, in today's technical session, in one of the sessions, the award winner has come all the way from Chennai, and she has a flight booking in the evening today itself. So we have decided to present the award to her right now. So I am announcing the best paper in the technical session titled Multimedia and ICT in English Education. And this award goes to Professor Hema Natarajan from Rajlakshmi Engineering College, Chennai, for a paper titled Promoting Peace Education through Lotus model in English language classrooms. I would request Professor Hema Natarajan to please come up on the stage. I would request Professor Dr. Satyajit Chakraborty, President IEM, to please hand over the prize to her. A big round of applause for her.